You're watching Morning at NTV.
This is Morning at NTV and welcome back. Now, a woman's place in her home. A woman's place is in her home. That's what we hear all the time. A woman's place is in the workplace, in the community, on the streets, and in public parks, in politics and in leadership, in grocery stores, classrooms, and on college campuses. Women are everywhere. A woman's place is everywhere and in every space. She has the right to feel safe and welcome. Yet, according to a multi-country study, between 40 and 60% of women said they had ever experienced street-based sexual harassment. And in Australia, almost 2 out of 5 women, that is about 39%, aged 15 and older, who have been in the workforce in the last 5 years, have experienced some sort of sexual harassment in the workplace. But that's only one part of the story. From marketplaces in the Pacific to parks in Eastern Europe, women are rising up and demanding safety, respect and inclusion in public spaces and coming together to make it happen. And one of them is Miss Rebecca Najengo, who we have here in studio. She's the founder of Swap and Talk, a women-only initiative that organizes safe spaces for women to talk to each other and share experiences. Now, I come from a family of 4. I'm the eldest and I have 3 sisters. So when it comes to topics like this, women empowerment, I'm so passionate about this. So I have Rebecca Najengo. You're going to be knowing what she does and who she is. Yes, Rebecca, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me, Romeo.
Like I contended earlier, I'm very passionate when it comes to women's rights. So you are the right person to be talking about this. So first tell us, who is Rebecca Najengo and when did you find out that you were passionate about women and advancing women's rights in that regard?
Okay, well, Rebecca Najengo is a constantly evolving human being. She is a combination of her ancestors' traditions and the societies she's been part of, and also a soul that's constantly looking for its place in all of it. She's passionate about genuine human connections and women. Yeah.
So how and when did you notice that you were passionate about women and advancing women's rights?
Actually, I don't think there's been a point in my life I haven't been passionate about women's rights. But if I think back to maybe when I was 10 years old, I realized then that I wanted to be more than just a mother and a housewife and someone who would cook and clean. And so I started to empower myself as a woman and my role and my ambitions, and that has led and translated to who I am today.
So at some point you refused to adhere to the socially constructed roles and then you decided to, you know, make your own direction.
Exactly, exactly.
How was that?
It's tough. It's going
you know, breaking social norms.
Yes.
People are telling you you're supposed to be in the kitchen, you're supposed to be there, and then for you like, no,
Yes.
I'm more than this. How hard was it to break out of that bubble?
It was not as hard, but it was also challenging because when I only do things that make sense to me as a human being. So I'd ask a lot of questions and say, but this is what I want, and explain to me. So it was a bit challenging there. But I had a very supportive family that always had my back, and yeah.
In your opinion, what are some of the challenges keeping women from living their best lives?
Okay. The first thing I'd like to say is their best lives is a very relative statement. It's very different for everybody. The thing is, but in their best lives, quote unquote, women usually neglect themselves. And this is because women are mostly nurturers, okay? And when they are passionate about something, anything that they're doing, they invest a lot of themselves into making that thing happen. And so this leads to self-neglect. And this self-neglect translates to a crisis. It's like a base of crises. And this leads to just confusion and lack of knowingness of a vision for themselves. Yeah.
Hasn't radical feminism affected like your movement when it comes to mobilization? Because we are talking about the challenges keeping women from living their best lives right there. What about the radical feminists who actually contend that they hate men in that regard? Don't you think that somehow they affect the whole mobilization movement of feminism?
Absolutely, absolutely. I am against radical feminism because I believe this only just takes us back. It takes us way back because without inclusion, I mean, even if you think about society today, we are only here and feminism only got birthed because we excluded a gender. So for us to be here today because of feminism, and still alienate men is taking us many steps backwards.
So you as a relative more progressive feminist, so how are you helping women live their best lives?
I've created a safe space for women. It's called Swap and Talk. And it has been in existence for the past year, and we've had 4 events. It is also a growing online community. So for people who cannot come to the events, can feel our presence online. So this space is just geared to help women just be, you know, just relax and be away from the judgment that they constantly face in society, but also rediscover their passions and expand on their networks.
And how does Swap and Talk help an ambitious woman, you know, navigate life between careers and relationships, and then you have growth also? How do they navigate that? And then how is Swap and Talk helping them?
Well, Swap and Talk helps them in a way that we share experiences, you know. It's a ground for us to realize that, oh my God, I'm not the only one struggling. Yeah. And so when this happens, also, there are many solutions because someone has been exactly where you have been and they're saying, this is the way, but there are multiple ways. And so you choose what works best for you. But also, we have themed topics. So maybe one can be on living purposefully, the other can be work-life balance. And so throughout the year, we have themes that touch on all those aspects of life. Yeah.
Anyway, how best can we do away with sexual harassment in Uganda? Do you have any ideas on how best we can do away and eliminate sexual violence in Uganda as a whole?
The first thing would be to make it safe for both women and men to speak, okay? To make it safe for people to say, this happened to me, without judgment, you know? Without that, the conversation is not going to go anywhere. It's not going to go anywhere.
So this pack is speaking out?
It's speaking out, making it safe, and us just letting the victims know that we hear you, we believe you, and talk to us. That's the point where change starts. But if anybody comes out to speak and they're being bashed and being called liars and being called out for defamation even before they can fully say what happened to them, we are going very many steps backwards. Yeah.
And the viewer right there watching at home is wondering, how does a gathering of different women from various backgrounds right there and professions help women live more fulfilling lives? I mean, that gathering at Swap and Talk, how does it help women in general live fulfilling lives?
Okay, this is very, very important because it makes it more interesting.
Doesn't it help only the women in that circle who are attending the Swap and Talk?
No.
So help us understand how it will help the women in general.
Okay.
Yes.
So first and foremost, we have an online community, right? And here we share experiences. We have we have a segment called Help Assist, which is online, and here women write to me and ask questions like, how do I sort out this dynamic? And we answer online. People contribute to helping these people online. So, but also, apart from that, the people who attend the events are able to impact other people around them that have not been able to come. Yeah.
Anyway, there are so many movements when it comes to women empowerment globally. So What's your opinion on the version of growth when it comes to women empowerment, especially in Uganda?
I really like that question. For me, it's inclusion. Yeah, it's inclusion. We cannot alienate one gender. We cannot alienate men. So it's for us to have conversations with men and also with women. So let's just be inclusive of one another, because the truth is, in society, it's both of us. The ideal for me would be a society where we don't have to think about the fact that we are women or men, where we can look at each other just as basic human beings, because that's what we are. Yes.
Wow. So that is your version of growth when it comes to women empowerment.
Yes.
Only inclusion, including the men in the fight and the struggle.
Not only inclusion, but that will be ultimate. That will be ultimate. There's so many other aspects that we need to grow. You know, women are not earning as much as men today. You know, even the sexual harassment you've just talked about. There's a closed-mindedness with men still, that women are supposed to only be in certain areas of life. But also, what I'm saying is, it does not make it easier if we keep alienating men also.
True.
We just need to communicate and have conversations to help us, to help the two genders merge their minds, until that actually we don't have many differences. And we are human beings. We're all human beings trying to figure it out.
True. Inclusion is really, really, really crucial, because now, like Romeo Busiku, being a male feminist, I'll be alienated if you try to put all those eggs in one basket and saying all men are the same. Because I also try to fight for women's rights in that regard, having come from a family of only girls in that regard. Anyway, when we talk about gender equality, are we talking about only equality at the workplace, or are we also talking about human rights for the girls?
Oh, we're speaking human rights. We're speaking equality everywhere. Or at the workplace, yes, but I would like that I can walk on the street and not be catcalled, you know. I would like to know that I'll feel safe anywhere, and not in places where men are, and not have to look over my shoulder. So just equality in all aspects of life, yeah, is the goal, yes.
Do you think we should actually bankroll women empowerment groups to actually promote feminism in this world?
Yes and no. I think that unless it's not radical feminism, like today we have people shy to say I am a feminist, you know, because the word just comes with a lot of negative connotations. And yet I feel like to be a feminist is to be a humanist. So unless all of us at the top of feminism in these groups is humanism, yes.
Well, tell us about the next Swap and Talk event.
Well, the next Swap and Talk event is this Sunday, 5th January 2020. It's happening at the Spice Junction in Kisementi, just opposite Longhana, and it's themed another beginning, which is just to tell that not only are we starting a new year, but we're also starting a new decade. And so it's just filled with possibilities. We have a guest speaker who has begun over and over again in her legal career, and now she's a partner in a leading law firm. Yeah, and so it's very close, and so we have limited slots left. But for more details, whoever wants to be a part of it can just check us out online, Swap and Talk, on our social media platforms.
Awesome. In your opinion, do you think the central government has done enough to pass policies that empower women or protect their human rights?
Not enough. Not enough.
What more could be done?
I think that we need to make it a mandate. Okay, it needs to be a law for women to even earn equally, you know, because really without empowering women financially, you're not really empowering them. Because if you're not able to spend, if you have to rely on someone else, and also at the workplace you're paid less, you are not able to actually effect real change in your life. So I think that at least for payment, you know, let's make it a rule for women and men to earn equally the same. Yeah.
Because some experts believe instead of passing these policies that are never implemented, it would be best to bankroll women organizations like Swap and Talk because they are more effective in that regard. Yes.
I like it.
Do you think it's feasible?
I think it's feasible, but also we need to make sure that at the end of the day it's not corrupt, you know? At the end of the day, when things are given to, okay, there's a lot of corruption in the government era, but also when things are given to entities like this, we also have to make sure there is someone overseeing to actually see that these things reach the women, that these policies are actually really bankrolled. Yeah.
Does social acceptance exacerbate violence against women?
Social acceptance.
Like in some areas where it's normally accepted, let's say FGM, when you go to an area where there's female genital mutilation, where the society accepts that, yes, this is culture and this is what we do. If a girl says, no, I do not want to participate in this practice, they will still be coerced into it because it is culture. The same for the Bagisu, for the boys, they are also affected. It is considered culture, but a boy might say, hey, I do not want to participate, but they will be coerced because it is culture. So social acceptance, has it exacerbated the violation of human rights?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I honestly don't think that if something does not make sense to a human being and they voice it out, they need to be listened to, right? Culture is one thing, but the times constantly change. Maybe it was justified those days, but in today, like today, maybe it doesn't make sense anymore. So we need to also constantly redefine culture. We need to listen to people. We need to listen to human beings and hear what they say. Yes.
Any last words to all women out there who are struggling to balance life, careers, and relationships?
Okay. First, I would like to say that life is happening all the time, you know? So this whole idea of I cannot wait for Friday to live it up, it's not like the rest of the week you are dead. You know, life is happening at your career. It's happening when you're with your family. It's happening everywhere. So my last word would be to these women to create a life that they are excited about. So it doesn't have to feel like they are dying some days and only alive on other days. So to redefine their passions, to go for them, and to make it a point to live a fulfilling, all-round, joyful life.
And before you go, could you please take us through the success stories about Swap and Talk? What you're going through, that exercise, Swap and Talk. Are there any success stories you can verifiably boast about?
Yeah, many. Just the impacts. I have so many people write to me, people who have attended the events and also not attended, but are part of our online community, tell me how, especially last year, when we started, their lives have transformed. They have either figured out their purpose or they feel like they can speak on things. They are more empowered as human beings, but also as women. And it's always a joy to see people rush and grab their dreams and have the rest of us cheering them on. Yes.
So besides Swap and Talk, are there any other avenues we could look at to create safe spaces for women?
Yeah, everywhere. I think they're everywhere. Like if you have a chance and you have a group of women, you know, just speak to them. Make whether it's a workplace, it's at home, just check on each other and say, hey, how are you doing? How can I help? Yeah.
Rebecca Najengo, she's the founder of Swap and Talk, a women-only initiative that organizes safe spaces for women right there to live better lives. My name is Romeo Busiku, and many thanks, Rebecca, for having made the time to speak to us.
Thank you, Romeo.
Yes, let's take another short breather. We'll be right back with a lot more information. Keep it here.